From thunderbirds to lake monsters, these mythical sightings aren't myths anymore. Now we have actual remains and video evidence of 15 legendary beasts that were caught on camera. The Skinwalker is one of the most feared legends in Navajo culture. It's a shaman who gained supernatural power through dark rituals, allowing them to transform into animals and mimic human voices. One of the most disturbing clips comes from the Uinta County Sheriff's Department, not far from the infamous Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. The grainy body cam footage showed deputies responding to reports of movement near an abandoned property. From the darkness, a pale, emaciated figure appeared, its limbs long and thin, skin corpse white, and feet ending in claw-like points that clicked against the gravel as it moved. Officers can be heard gasping before the creature darted behind a fence line and disappeared at a speed that doesn't look human.
Hold the light right there.
Sweet.
Sir, you okay? Stay with
Oh my
Back
god.
up.
They are found in Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico, which is where they mimic human voices the most.
Hello?
Witnesses claim that before an encounter, the forest often falls completely silent. If animals stop making sounds, it means they are afraid of something much larger, scarier, stronger in the woods. That's your signal to run.
This is where most people would turn around. If you turn around and you never get to see what's on the other side. That's where all the gold is waiting over there.
Another sighting was recorded on May 14th, 2024, in Arizona that shows an inhumanly large pale figure running out of the bushes and into the trees on the right. This was captured by hunters who were looking for small game, but to their shock, no small animal could be found. Even in the video, you can see animals in the pasture running away before this skinwalker makes a run for the woods to disappear. It's clear it had spotted the hunters, and the sheer size and the way it was moving is nothing short of unsettling. The hunters decided to end their hunting trip right then and there.
Oh, what the crap? Is that a guy?
Werewolf.
Into the nice right? How do you
So this is
it's
my
broken.
werewolf.
That's what
Reports of werewolf sightings have surfaced all over the world, from the Beast of Bray Road in Wisconsin to the Loup-garou of France. People describe the same thing: a tall, muscular creature covered in fur, standing on two legs, with glowing eyes and the intelligence of a human. And there have been moments of werewolves being caught on camera. A man came across a location in the woods that he thought was abandoned, and this is what he found there. It was the carcass of a werewolf, with its mouth wide open that revealed its menacing teeth. The scene was horrifying, as if someone had hunted it down, or perhaps something far nefarious happened. Another happened in Wisconsin, where a lady was searching for her lost dog in a forest, when suddenly she saw a scary wolf-like creature that emerged from the dark while walking on its two legs. Looking at the creature's face, her dog disappearing and letting her go so easily. It's possible her dog was the werewolf. That is why she is still alive. One thing's for sure: something is roaming these forests, and it's not afraid to be seen anymore. Ohio's amphibian. From the marshy lands of Loveland, Ohio, comes the frogman found in the quiet town along the Little Miami River. Sightings date back to the 1950s, when people started seeing a strange frog-like humanoid near bridges and rivers. This creature is described as about 4 feet tall, walking upright on two legs, with leathery skin, webbed hands and feet, and large, glowing eyes. The most famous encounter happened in 1972, when a police officer saw this bipedal frog creature on the side of the road. When his headlights hit it, the creature climbed over the guardrail and jumped into the river below. And just 2 weeks later, another officer saw something similar in the same area: a scaly amphibian figure that vanished into the water before he could react. Over the years, more locals have claimed to see the frogman, often near Loveland's rivers and creeks. A couple of teenagers driving near that area noticed movement in the bushes near the riverbank. Then they made the mistake of getting out of their car to take a closer look. The girl pointed towards something in the trees, and that's when they saw it. The Frogman. It was the same height, frog humanoid creature standing upright on its hind legs. The sighting took place 25 years ago, in 1999, and to this day remains the most convincing footage of Ohio's amphibian beast.
Haven't you got enough of Mom and Dad arguing? Did you hear that? Oh my God. Go grab Dad.
Lake Van Monster. In the far eastern region of Turkey, surrounded by mountains and old volcanic plateaus, lies Lake Van, the country's largest lake, a lake big enough to hide a monster. Stories of a strange lake creature have circulated for generations. They describe it as a serpent-like beast, dark gray in color, with a long neck and a body that moves like a wave cutting through the water. Then, in 1997, Unal Kozak, a local teacher and researcher, filmed the creature. The footage shows something large and dark surfacing briefly before diving beneath the waves again. On July 23, 2015, AP Archive released coverage titled Turkey, Pictures of Lake Monster, showing local reactions and images said to capture the strange being moving across the water. In the still frames, something massive appears just beneath the surface, too large for any known fish or mammal in the lake. Aquatic experts have said it does look like an aquatic anomaly, but nothing that has been documented before or since. And it's been more than 10 years now. Whatever lives beneath the massive Lake Van has remained hidden for centuries, and the Lord only knows when it will be spotted again. Kraken.
For the first time, the giant squid was captured on video in U.S. waters.
This happened in the Gulf of Mexico, and tonight we are meeting the self-proclaimed ocean explorer who's explaining how her team finally found it. Here's CBS 4's Jim DeFeedy.
For as long as humans have sailed the oceans, encounters with an enormous beast that can pull entire ships have existed. They call it the Kraken. Early sailors from Scandinavia described seeing monstrous shapes rising from the water, huge coiling arms that wrapped around ships, followed by whirlpools that swallowed everything whole. And now there is evidence on it. Different sightings from different locations are posted almost regularly on YouTube. And then there's one of the strangest sea mysteries of all, the Zuyo Maru carcass of 1977. A Japanese fishing trawler accidentally hauled up what looked like a decaying sea monster off the coast of New Zealand. A 33-foot-long creature with a long neck, massive body, and fins unlike any known species. Photos of the sea monster carcass sparked global debate. Some said it was a basking shark. Others were sure it was something ancient, something that shouldn't exist anymore. But to this day, its exact identity has never been agreed upon, which is why the beast still lives scaring sailors across the world. Dover Demon.
What he saw was something that doesn't resemble any animal that anybody has ever seen before. It was climbing along a broken down stretch of stone wall, and as he looked at it, it turned to look at him. He was absolutely terrified. Its head was about the same size as its body. It was really huge.
It all began in the town of Dover, Massachusetts, back in April of 1977. Over the course of just 2 nights, 3 separate witnesses reported seeing something no one could explain. Each encounter happened along the same dark, wooded back roads. All 3 witnesses were teenagers from the local high school. None of them knew what the others had seen, yet their descriptions matched perfectly. The first sighting happened on 21st April 21st, Thursday night around 10:30 p.m. 17-year-old Bill Bartlett was driving down Farm Street with 2 friends after a small get-together. As their headlights swept across an old stone wall, something caught Bill's eye. He thought it was a small animal, but when he looked closer, he realized it was nothing like any creature he'd ever seen. Clinging to the stones was a thin, pale figure, about 3 to 4 feet tall, with long fingers gripping the wall. Its skin looked hairless and rough, almost like sandpaper, and its head was unnaturally unnaturally large, nearly the size of its entire body. When it turned to face him, Bill froze. The creature had no visible nose, mouth, or ears, only two large orange glowing eyes, perfectly round like glass marbles. The moment lasted only a few seconds before the creature turned and crawled off into the woods. The next night, another teenager, John Baxter, saw the same figure near Miller Hill Road, just a mile away from Bill's encounter. Later, a third witness, Abby Brabham, described a hairless, small-sized creature with glowing orange eyes crouched near a bridge. None of them had spoken to each other beforehand, and yet their drawings of the creature matched perfectly. Locals began calling it the Dover Demon, a name that's stuck ever since.
It had no visible mouth, no nose, no ears, but it had two huge eyes, glowing orange. They were round, and Bill said they looked just like glass marbles.
Beast of Boggy Creek.
Decades, locals in the small town of Fouke have said that something inhuman stalks the deep, dark swamps in their region, the Fouke Monster.
Down in the swamplands of southwest Arkansas, locals say something still stalks the trees. Something massive, fast, and unlike anything that should exist there. They call it the Fouke Monster, or as some know it, the Beast of Boggy Creek. This creature's legend goes back to the early 1970s, when terrified residents of the small town of Fouke began reporting encounters with a large, hairy ape-like being walking upright through the fog. It was described as 7 feet tall, covered in mud-caked hair, and said to smell absolutely horrible. Some claimed it had glowing red eyes, but the sightings never stopped. On the 23rd of October, 2023, KATV Channel 7 News covered a story based on new footage that had surfaced.
Arkansas loves its razorbacks, but in Miller County, it's a different beast they talk about. Channel 7's Andrew Mobley took a trip down to Fouke to speak with some locals and some monster hunters.
A shadowy, upright figure moving through the tree line at dusk, caught on a deer camera near the Sulphur River. That same report interviewed William Lunsford, a long-time local researcher and retired outdoorsman who spent years chasing the Fouke Monster. He's even written a book about his investigations, documenting eyewitness accounts, photos, and tracks found deep in the swamp. Recently, Lunsford released new evidence captured just miles from the original encounter sites. It shows something tall, dark, and heavy moving across a clearing, its head nearly brushing the lower branches. You can even hear the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps crunching leaves before it disappears into the brush. Now in Fouke, Arkansas, when something crashes through the woods after dark, no one assumes it's a bear. Appalachian invisible creature.
Over there, look, over there. You see that?
What the hell?
This is one of the most mysterious pieces of footage ever uploaded to the internet because no one knows what exactly was caught on camera. The video first surfaced on YouTube nearly 18 years ago, posted by a user known as Stingy J. According to him, he didn't film the clip himself. He and a friend stole the tape and even spent 3 days in jail because of it. The footage, recorded deep in the Appalachian foothills, shows 2 men walking through a wooded area. Everything seemed calm at first until the bushes to their right started to move on their own, in a strange way as if someone was walking through them, but no one could be seen, and there was no wind either. That's when an invisible silhouette was spotted between the trees. It was tall and thin, just barely outlined by the movement around it, like something standing there but invisible. The men were frozen with fear, whispering in confusion, and you can hear it in their voices.
Wait, because that was it again, right there. Wait.
People have studied this video frame by frame for years, searching for signs of editing, but nothing seems altered. According to Stingy J, the original tape and camcorder were discovered by a game hunter sometime in the 90s. The recording was later archived by a retired sheriff's deputy in Emerson, Bartow County, Georgia, whose name was mysteriously redacted from public records. To this day, no one knows what the men really captured that day in the woods.
Right there.
I don't like this.
You see that? Right there. Look.
Oh my god.
The terror of lake.
Water was pretty calm. There was just a light breeze, and there were no boats in the bay. We heard the splashing, and it was really loud. And then as we watched it, the splashing kind of died down, and whatever it was started moving. We could see these humps, and there were 2 or 3 or 4 humps showing at one time. The thing just subsided in the water and disappeared.
This starts off by showing a pair of reliable witnesses, Jim and Julia Manley, a well-known couple from Polson, Montana. Jim was a district judge, the kind of person you wouldn't expect to believe in monsters. But what he and his wife saw one quiet evening on Flathead Lake would stay with them for the rest of their lives. It happened in 2005 near Big Arm Bay, as the couple was returning to their boat after swimming. When they got back on board, they discovered the battery was flat, leaving them stranded in the middle of the lake as night fell. That's when Julia heard it first, a faint, splashing sound, about 75 yards away, cutting through the still air. They saw a series of dark humps moving across the surface of the water, 2, maybe 3, possibly 4, swimming against the current. Each section rose a few feet above the lake, then dipped under again. The shape was long, serpentine, and they didn't see any head, just a massive undulating body moving through the moonlit water. Jim compared the size to their 25-foot boat. Julia said it looked like a serpent, unlike anything living in Flathead Lake. The Manley sighting wasn't an isolated case.
Some folks who've seen a really big fish in the lake, perhaps it was a sturgeon that was introduced into the lake from somewhere else. You know, he's still down there lurking, some big sturgeon monster.
In July 2011, another incident reignited public interest. Footage surfaced online showing a massive shape moving beneath the water near the lake's northern shoreline. The object's length and movement matched dozens of older descriptions. But it was in November 2016, far from Montana, that something eerily similar was caught on camera again, this time in Alaska. Tourists filming a glacier collapse accidentally captured what appeared to be a giant aquatic creature moving just beyond the breaking ice. In the video, 7 dark, fin-like shapes can be seen poking through the water. The first 3 seem joined together, followed by another 4, forming what looks like the creature's front and tail. And just like that night in 2005, every sighting ends the same way with no trace left behind. Swamp monster. Deep in the wetlands of Louisiana, the Honey Island swamp monster has been part of local legend for decades. A creature said to lurk the cypress trees and thick fog. The most famous evidence comes from Harlan Ford, a retired air traffic controller and avid wildlife enthusiast who often explored the Honey Island swamp with his camera. While reviewing his old reels after his passing, family members discovered something strange. A short film showing a tall, bipedal creature walking through the swamp foliage. It appeared covered in dark, matted hair, its shoulders broad and its posture almost human. But the proportions were off. The arms hung longer than they should, and the stride was unnaturally heavy. Experts who studied the footage said it didn't look like a bear or any other animal, not even a human. The film was recorded in the early 1960s and is still one of the most talked about cryptid clips ever captured in the American South. Years later, a WGNO news report from October 31st, 2013, covered a new sighting in the area, describing strange tracks found near the waterline, each about 10 to 12 inches long, with 3 distinct toes and deep impressions suggesting something heavy had passed through. Local fishermen told reporters about eerie growls echoing through the swamp at night, followed by splashes that sounded far too big to come from an alligator.
A creature that lives in the swamp, we believe that it still exists. It was first reported by my grandfather. He was the first one to report a sighting. That was back in 1974, but it was actually in '63 that he first saw it. When they saw it, it was down on all fours.
And then came the 2015 footage, showing a dark, towering figure moving slowly through shallow water, its body covered in a thick layer of hair. It was broad, tall, and disturbingly human-like. Many viewers believed it was the same creature that had moved east, following the waterways through the southern states. And even now, late at night, some people still swear they hear the sound of heavy footsteps sloshing through the swamp water. Hydra. a monstrous serpent with multiple heads that could regenerate every time one was cut off. A creature so terrifying, even ancient warriors believed it could never be vanquished. On November 15, 2024, during a storm in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia residents witnessed something massive in the sky. Footage shows a dark, twisting silhouette illuminated by flashes of lightning, and for a few seconds, the shape becomes clearer. Long serpentine necks extending from a single massive body, and wings stretching out like those of a dragon. No details of its face can be seen, but the outline alone was enough to make witnesses freeze in disbelief. But here's where things get even stranger. There is a real creature called the Hydra, though it's much smaller, almost microscopic. Found in freshwater, this tiny organism might be the key to eternal youth. Scientists discovered that hydras, related to jellyfish and anemones, possess an otherworldly ability. They can heal themselves endlessly and never seem to age. Cut one in half, and within days, each half becomes whole again. So Hydra isn't just a mythical beast, but an actual creature on Earth. Creature of Pine Barrens.
The New Jersey Devil legend is ingrained into the state of New Jersey so much. It's something that every kid hears when they're growing up. The Jersey Devil's gonna come and get you. One of the most famous aspects of the Jersey Devil is its horrific screech or roar.
For over 2 centuries, strange reports have come from the dense pine barrens of New Jersey. Stories of a winged creature unlike anything known to science. Locals call it the Jersey Devil. Descriptions are consistent. A creature standing around 5 to 7 feet tall, with bat-like wings, a long tail, cloven hooves, and a head resembling a horse or goat. It moves fast, emits a high-pitched scream, and has been seen flying low over the treetops or crossing isolated roads late at night. One of the earliest accounts dates back to 1735, when a woman known as Mother Leeds was said to have given birth to her 13th child, which, according to legend, transformed into a monster before escaping through the chimney. In 2015, a man driving near Galloway Township claimed to have photographed a winged creature with an elongated neck and hooves soaring over a golf course before vanishing into the woods. Even today, few are willing to travel deep into the Pine Barrens to hunt it down once and for all.
The Jersey Devil is actually the 13th child of a woman known as Mother Leeds. When Mother Leeds was giving birth, she apparently, legend says, cried out, "The devil can take this one." And she initially gave birth to a healthy, happy baby boy who almost immediately transformed into this demon-like creature.
Lizard Man. In December 2013, a strange video appeared online that quickly became one of the most puzzling creature sightings. The clip showed what appeared to be a humanoid figure crouched near a roadside, partially hidden among the trees in Oregon, Ohio. The footage was short, shaky, and filmed during midday. The video, originally uploaded by a YouTube channel called Audio Color World, shows a pale, bipedal creature rummaging through the undergrowth. Its movements were unsettlingly fluid, and when it stood upright, its shape looked human, but not quite right. Its limbs were too long. Locals quickly began calling it the Lizard Man of Oregon, linking it to older regional stories of reptilian humanoids seen near Ohio's waterways. Some viewers claimed the creature's movements looked too natural for CGI, while others dismissed it as an elaborate hoax. But no one ever came forward to prove it was fake, and the uploader, Audio Color World, never explained where the tape came from or who recorded it. Water Demon. Unlike other visuals, this one starts off with the remains of the creature only found in Miyazaki Prefecture, Japan. At Miyakonojo Shimazu residence, museum visitors gathered to see something unlike anything ever put on display before: the mummified remains of an aquatic creature with webbed hands and feet. The specimen, discovered back in 1818, belonged to Japan's horrifying creature, the Kappa, a species of amphibious humanoids that live in the country's rivers and ponds.
The Kappa, which translates as water child, is a creature that is usually about 5 feet in height, has scaly skin, and is usually blue or green in color. It has a turtle shell on its back and a beak, as well as a kind of plate on the top of its head in which it always has to carry water.
On July 9th, 2019, workers in Osaka, Japan were draining a local pond as part of a cleanup project when something unexpected emerged from the muddy water. Witnesses described a humanoid figure, its body covered in thick mud, rising from the sludge and trying to avoid the onlookers. Realizing what they had just seen, the workers attempted to capture it. They managed to seize it and even examined it, but had to release the creature because they were afraid it would bring about some bad omen to their town. As seen in the footage, it's a small, humanoid creature, roughly 5 feet tall, with scaly skin that's usually blue or green. It has a turtle shell on its back, a beak-like mouth, and a distinctive water-filled dish on the top of its head. That water is the source of its strength. If it ever spills, the creature loses its power and later passes away.
このまま放置しておくとかなりね危ない状態だったかもしれません。
Now it's time for the last legendary beast that was not only caught on camera, but hunted down by Americans. Across North America, from ancient rock carvings to modern eyewitness accounts, there are stories of an enormous bird, one so large it can block out the sun with its wings. They call it the Thunderbird. The most famous evidence goes back to Tombstone, Arizona in 1890, when ranchers took down a massive winged creature unlike any known bird. According to their report, it had smooth skin instead of feathers, a face resembling that of an alligator, and wings stretching over 30 feet. The story became so legendary that newspapers supposedly published a photograph of the men standing beside the fallen Thunderbird. It is said to be a spirit of the storm, a creature whose wing beats create thunder and whose eyes flash lightning across the sky. One of the most unsettling comes from California, near a place locals call Lake Elizabeth, or as the older generations refer to it, the Lake of the Devil.
They didn't have the vocabulary we had today, so when things happened that they couldn't explain, it was called the Devil's Lake, it was called the Devil's this or the Devil's that.
Witnesses here have reported seeing a massive, black-winged creature gliding silently across the sky, wings stretching wider than the span of a small plane.
These ranchers claim to have been harassed and tormented by some sort of monstrous beast that would come out of the water and steal cattle and menace the locals.
The Thunderbird emerges from a portal said to lie at the bottom of Lake Elizabeth, appearing only during powerful storms or unusual weather events. Even today, sightings of giant, prehistoric-looking birds continue across the American Southwest, but no one has been able to take it down ever since.